Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is a technical assistance session for 2 CEJA workforce grant programs. My name is Linda Larson. I am with the University of Illinois Climate Jobs Institute, and our team is helping the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity launch the CEJA workforce programs. Today, we're going to be talking about the round 2 funding opportunity for these 2 CEJA programs. And just a few business items before we get started. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You should have been muted at the beginning when you entered. Please save your questions for the end. There will be a short Q&A session at the end. And if you do want to enter your questions in the chat as we go along, please feel free to do that. We'll do our best to answer the questions that you have. If there are some questions that we cannot answer, we will make sure to add them to the Q&A. Our agenda for today is as follows. First, I'm going to provide a brief overview of the CEJA workforce ecosystem. Then I'll be providing some updates on the status of the 2 programs that we're going to be talking about today, the Clean Energy Workforce Network Program and the Energy Transition Navigator Program. Then I'll be talking about what applicants can do if they applied before but were not selected. We're going to be encouraging those applicants to consider revising and resubmitting their applications. We're also inviting new applicants to apply for these programs. And if you're new and you are unfamiliar with these programs, I'll be providing a brief overview of them and of some of the requirements for the programs. And then finally ending by providing some application tips. This webinar will be recorded and posted on the Notice of Funding Opportunity websites. And we'll also email out a copy of the slides. All right, so briefly, CEJA workforce ecosystem overview. I always start with just a general, what is CEJA? The Climate and Equitable Jobs Act is comprehensive energy legislation that centers equity and puts Illinois on track to achieve 100% renewable energy by 2050. And you can see CEJA is a large piece of legislation. It includes many different aspects, including support for renewables, energy efficiency, electric transportation, carbon-free power, and it also provides funding for equitable workforce programs and business development programs, as well as support for fossil fuel workers who are transitioning to the clean energy economy. So just a brief overview of the workforce programs. So Illinois is investing a lot of money in clean energy sources and electric vehicles and in energy efficiency. We need to expand the clean energy workforce to do the work. There's a lot of funding available from state and federal sources right now for clean energy, and we need to grow the workforce in Illinois to do that work. Unfortunately, some groups of people and communities have benefited more from clean energy investments in the past, and some have suffered more from environmental impacts and community disinvestment. The goal of CEJA is to make sure that the benefits of clean energy investments and good paying clean energy jobs are distributed equitably, so that they benefit all Illinois communities and populations. This is just a brief a diagram of the different CEJA workforce programs that the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity will be administering. On the left, you can see that there are 4 programs. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program and the Energy Transition Navigator programs are the ones we'll be talking about today. The Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program will be starting shortly, and the Returning Resident Clean Jobs training program will be available soon as well. The goal of all of these workforce programs is to help prepare people for clean energy jobs or advanced training and apprenticeship programs. The goal is to have clean energy employers be able to select or hire people from these programs to increase their ability to work on clean energy projects that are funded by CEJA and other state and federal sources. So the two programs we're going to be talking about today that are open, that organizations can apply for, are the Clean Jobs Workforce Network Program, commonly called the Workforce Hubs. We'll be talking a little bit more about this later. The Energy Transition Navigators program is also open currently and accepting applications, and we'll be talking about this program as well. Wanted to just provide a very brief summary of the other two workforce programs that DCEO will be implementing. The Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program, the goal is to prepare people for registered apprenticeships. There'll be people who receive this training will receive training in construction basics with a clean energy focus. The Returning Resident Clean Jobs training program will be provided for individuals who are in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections, and the training will prepare people for entry-level clean energy jobs. Next, I'm going to go over a brief status of the CEJA workforce programs. The Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program, this program was released, the notice of funding opportunity for this program was released back in the spring of 2023. Grantees have been selected and will be announced in the next few weeks. They will be starting to train applicants or train participants this winter. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, we already underwent a first round of application and reviews. The applications for a second round are due on February 23rd. So this is currently open, and we'll be reviewing applications again in select regions on February 23rd, and I'll explain a little bit about those, where those regions are. The Energy Transition Navigator program likewise has completed a first round of reviews. Some applicants have been recommended for funding, and we have a second round of review, a round that's due February 23rd. And then finally, the Returning Resident Clean Jobs program, the notice of funding opportunity for this program will be released late this month or early February. So I wanted to share a little bit more detailed information about the two programs we're going to be talking about today, the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program and the Energy Transition Navigator program. As I stated in the last slide, we did have the first round of applications reviewed. We received 25 applications for the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program. 7 of those applications were recommended for funding. Those applications were in the Chicago South Hub region, the Chicago Southwest and West Hub regions, the Rockford, Champaign, Alton, and Decatur regions. This doesn't mean that grantees have been selected and contracts have been signed. We're still working on grant negotiations for those applicants that were recommended for funding. But at this time, for those regions, we've identified applicants for funding. For this program, there are a few hub regions where we did not recommend applicants for funding, either because there were no applications received for that region or because they weren't selected in that region. We're accepting applications in Waukegan, Joliet, Aurora, Peoria, Danville, Carbondale, East St. Louis, and I've put up here at the top Chicago South, even though applicants were recommended for funding. In Chicago South, the department is still accepting applications to ensure that we have geographic coverage of that region. The Energy Transition Navigator program, the department received 22 applications, and 6 of those applications were recommended for funding. The applications where we have applicants recommended are in Chicago South, again, Chicago Southwest and West, Rockford and Carbondale. And then you can see here that there are a number of hubs that remain unfilled, and we're still accepting applicants from Waukegan, Joliet, Aurora, Peoria, Danville, Champaign, Decatur, East St. Louis, and Alton. So the purpose of this round 2 application period is to try to fill these remaining hubs, and we'll be accepting applications through February 23rd, 2024 for these select hub regions. I wanted to just provide a little overview for, we've received some questions about the application selection process. I wanted to provide a little bit of information on what that looks like. If your application was selected or wasn't selected, what's the process here? So when you submit an application, if you submit it before the deadline, it first goes through an administrative review process to assess whether it meets GATA requirements and whether the application has all of the required elements. If it does, then it can move on to the merit review process. At that point, applications are sorted by the proposed hub region and then scored by a team of merit reviewers. The applications that have received the highest score and that meet minimum scoring requirements are then recommended for funding. At that point, for those applications, the final grants are negotiated by the department to align the grant with the NOFO requirements. And the department will be working with the applicants to determine acceptable grant terms, looking at your budget and your scope of work. And then finally, after that grant negotiation period, final grant award decisions are made and grantees are announced. So we've received a number of questions about why certain applications were not selected, and the reasons vary by application certainly, but I wanted to just provide some high-level information about that. Some applications did not make it past the first administrative review. Either the application package wasn't complete or didn't meet GATA eligibility requirements, or the application package wasn't submitted on time. So we were only able to review those applications that met the deadline, that first deadline for round 1. And then in some cases, the applications went through the merit review process but were not selected. Typically, the reasons were because the application may not have received a high enough score to be considered for funding, or there may have been multiple applicants in your region, and the department chose the one with the highest score. Some regions received a lot of applications, and some received 1 or 2, and the department selected, typically would select the highest scoring application in that region. So if your organization applied before, we are encouraging your team to consider revising and resubmitting the application. But I do want to note that we are only accepting applications that are in a hub, in target hub areas. As I noted earlier on the slide, there several of the hubs did receive applications that were recommended for funding, and several did not. We're only accepting applications from target regions for round 2. So what are those target regions? For the Clean Energy Workforce Network Program, you can see the regions here: Chicago South, Waukegan, Joliet, Aurora, Peoria, Danville, Carbondale, and East St. Louis. And then for the Energy Transition Navigator Program, we're accepting applications from Waukegan, Joliet, Aurora, Champaign, Decatur, Peoria, Danville, Alton, and East St. Louis. I've highlighted those hub regions where neither a Clean Energy Workforce Network Program application nor an Energy Transition Navigator Program were selected. So these are really areas that the department is looking at closely to see if we can build capacity in the community for organizations to apply for funding. And we know there's a lot of work to do. These are large grant opportunities, and some communities may need to build capacity to develop successful applications. So what is the department doing to help assist the applicants in putting together successful applications? Well, the department is doing a number of things. First of all, if you did apply, you can request some feedback. You can request a meeting with the department. You can request feedback, that the merit review, a summary of the feedback from merit reviewers. You can contact Shar Flickinger. She is on our call today, and she'd be happy to provide that feedback. You can also request one-on-one technical assistance. The department is offering up to 5 sessions. We've already received requests for technical assistance from some of you, and your technical assistance coach will be reaching out to you to schedule that. We're also hosting a few technical assistance webinars. This is one of them. There will be 2 more coming up this month. So we encourage you to attend those. And then finally, in these target regions that I just showed, let me see. We are hosting a number of networking events to try to encourage partnerships in these regions and build capacity. So we'd encourage you to attend one of these networking events, to collaborate with your community leaders. We're also reaching out to community leaders to try to engage them and get their help in building partnerships to apply for funding in these target regions. So my team is going to be putting some links in the chat, and we'll share this information with you later, but I'd encourage you, if you're considering applying either as a former applicant or a new applicant, get some technical assistance. Our TA coaches are experienced grant writers, know the programs well, and can help you develop successful applications. Here's a QR code and link where you can sign up to receive technical assistance. The 2 upcoming technical assistance webinars are listed here, and again, we'll send out information about how to register. The technical assistance session next week will be on budgets, and the following week we'll be looking at the merit review process and some of the strengths and weaknesses in applications and how to develop a strong application. Networking events are taking place the following 2 weeks, and I'd strongly encourage you to attend these events. This will be an opportunity for you to meet with your CEJA regional administrator, to identify potential partners, to discuss your concerns about applying for funding, and to get help from others. So please mark your calendars and register for an event if you're able to. And the technical assistance that we'll be providing through the office hours and the webinars is really going to be focused on helping you develop a strong application. Our team has been reviewing the feedback from merit reviewers to identify the strengths and weaknesses of various applications. Here I've written down some of the problem areas that that merit reviewers found in the applications. This first one I highlighted because it tends to be the biggest problem area. Does what you propose conform with the application requirements that are outlined in the Notice of Funding Opportunity? Some of the applications we found weren't complete. So making sure that you're developing an application package that has all of the required elements is really crucial. Some of the problems areas were in developing a team that had the capacity and experience to deliver the program and identifying the roles and responsibilities among the different partners. The department is looking for detailed plans on how to deliver each of the elements that's required in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. And then finally, a lot of proposals were missing detailed budget descriptions. So the technical assistance that we provide will be describing how to put together a budget and what that budget narrative might look like. And then finally, do you need help understanding the local economy and clean energy job needs? Our technical assistance team can provide some information on how to get local labor data and the partners you might consider to better understand the needs of your local area. This next section of the presentation is really focused on providing an overview of these two programs. If you've attended many of my sessions in the past, you may not need to listen in on all of this, but I recognize that we may have a few people here who have not attended these sessions and don't know much about these CEJA programs. This section is for you to just provide an overview of these programs and help you consider whether you would like to apply. And after this overview, I'll be providing some final application tips for you and just some reminders of some events that are coming up. So the first program I'll be talking about is the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, or commonly called the Workforce Hubs. This program, the goal is to prepare people for good paying entry-level clean energy jobs. The program will provide clean jobs training utilizing a standard clean energy curriculum framework that was developed by the department. The program will be offered in 13 regions. At least one grantee will be selected in each of the 13 regions. $37.9 million in funding is available every year for this program, and it will be delivered by community-based organizations and their partners. This program will prepare people for clean energy jobs, and I wanted to provide just a brief definition of what we mean when we say clean energy jobs. Clean energy jobs are those in the solar and wind industries, the electric vehicle and green hydrogen industries, the energy efficiency and healthy buildings industries, and then finally energy storage, as well as other industries that are achieving emission reductions. And the department takes a large view of these jobs. These are jobs in these industries that manufacture, develop, build, install, maintain, or provide ancillary services. These are also jobs that provide administrative or sales or other support functions in these industries. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program will be serving certain target populations. People who will be prioritized for placement in these programs are people living in equity investment eligible communities. And the Notice of Funding Opportunity has a link to a map where you can find out what regions of your, what areas of your region are considered equity investment eligible. This program will also be prioritized for people with barriers to employment, such as those who have been incarcerated or who have low educational attainment or language barriers, as well as former members of foster care. And finally, the program is also prioritized for displaced energy workers. The workforce hubs will be delivering 4 main tasks. They'll be recruiting participants to participate in the training program. They'll be helping them enroll and conducting assessments to find out what their needs are. They'll be delivering training, and this training consists of 2 main parts. There's a bridge program, which I'll be talking about in a minute, and some job-specific training options. And then finally, as they provide these services, the hubs will be providing barrier reduction services to help remove barriers to participation and success. After they complete the program, they'll be helping transition participants into jobs, and then tracking participants and providing follow-up support to help them retain those jobs and advance in their career. I want to emphasize that the training must align with the Clean Jobs curriculum framework. This framework is linked in the notice of funding opportunity. Here you can see just a brief overview that shows what's covered in the different elements. There's a bridge program that will cover some clean energy basics, as well as workplace and personal effectiveness skills. And then a transition to several different job-specific training options that the grantees will be able to select. And then after they finish those job-specific training options, they can transition. The hubs will help them transition into jobs. And then throughout this process, the hubs will be offering wraparound supports, such as stipends, childcare, tutoring, transportation assistance, and more. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program is equity focused, and applicants should be able to identify how their how they intend to deliver their program in an equitable way. And here's just a few ways that you might consider as you build your program, as you think about how you will deliver the different elements of the program. How are you going to eliminate or reduce barriers to participation or barriers to completion of the program? How are you going to build a community of collaboration? In what ways will you empower the people in the program to be resilient and to succeed in the clean energy industry? We'll be requiring you to set goals, to measure your outcomes, track these outcomes, and then adjust as needed. And the department will be requiring you to collect information and share that information. And then finally, how can you create a culture of belonging that celebrates differences? So who can apply for funding to deliver the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program? In the notice of funding opportunity, there's a section on eligibility. And the eligible organizations are community-based organizations. And these include community colleges, nonprofits, and local governments. And they must meet certain requirements. They must be an organization that provides employment, skill development, or related services. They must have a main operating office in the community or region they are proposing to serve, and demonstrate relationships with local residents and other organizations in the community. And this program can be delivered by a single organization, but the department strongly encourages teams of organizations to apply. The funding available for this program is 22.9 million plus 15 million for barrier reduction, for a total of 7.9 million for year one. And this is a program that can be renewed for an additional 2 years. So it's essentially a 3-year grant. And your grantee's performance will be reviewed every year to determine if you'll be receiving funding to deliver the program the following year. So this is just an illustration of what a partnership might look like. So you might have a partnership among 3 different organizations where one organization provides part of the training and another organization maybe specializes in the bridge program training. Maybe 2 or more organizations provide the barrier reduction services. One organization might provide transition support services, and then with the recruitment, we might have a different organization or the Energy Transition Navigator program providing that recruitment. Collectively, it's important that the applicant team have the ability to deliver all of the elements of the program and have the experience needed to successfully deliver the program. So collectively, does your team have the ability to serve the target populations for this notice of funding opportunity? Do you have agreements with employers for work-based learning? Do you have the ability to provide training using the Clean Jobs curriculum framework? Can you provide outreach and recruitment to prepare people to join the program? Can you provide the training? Do you have the capacity to deliver barrier reduction services? Do you have the ability to provide training in locations that are accessible in the region? Okay, so that's the end of the brief overview of the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, the Energy Transition Navigator program. The main goal of this program is to increase awareness of and participation in CEJA programs. They'll be providing recruitment, enrollment support, and engagement support for the CEJA workforce programs. This program will also be delivered in the 13 hub regions and the surrounding areas. Total amount of funding for this program is $6 million per year, and it will be delivered by community-based providers and their partners. The transition navigators, there's 4 main tasks. They're not providing training, but they're helping getting people into the CEJA workforce programs. So they'll be coordinating closely with the other CEJA workforce programs, especially the workforce hubs, which I just talked about, as well as the Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program. And their main role is to provide outreach and community education to raise awareness of these programs and to recruit people to participate in them. They'll be providing services to help people enroll in the programs. And then finally, they have one of their main tasks is to engage with diverse community, employer, and workforce stakeholders in their region to advance workforce program goals. So they'll be networking with employers in the region, helping them connect to the CEJA workforce programs, helping provide information throughout the community about the CEJA programs. So this is kind of from a customer perspective. If someone wants to get involved in the clean energy workforce, join a training program. Well, the navigator's role is to help them make a decision about which programs they might want to enter into. Do they want to join the workforce hubs or the Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program? Maybe you are working with a contractor who has a small clean energy contractor business. You might direct them to contractor incubator programs or refer them to other workforce programs. So as you can see here, the navigators really are the organization, the grantee that's kind of putting all of the pieces together in your community. They're helping coordinate with the different CEJA programs as part of these programs' larger outreach teams. So navigators will be helping people make informed decisions about the CEJA training programs and career pathways. So part of what the navigators will be doing is raising awareness of the exciting opportunities in clean energy careers. I've listed a few careers here, but there's many others. So the Navigators, there's many young people that don't know what clean energy is or have a lot of awareness of their options and what the good paying clean energy jobs are in Illinois. So Clean Energy Navigators are going to provide that education and awareness for people so that they can potentially join the CEJA training programs and enter a clean energy career. And then finally, a big part of the Navigator role is to engage those stakeholders here. I've listed a few of those stakeholders. So as you apply, think about the organizations, the people in your region who would need to be engaged to grow the clean energy workforce. So obviously, local employers, educational institutions, economic development institutions, environmental justice or advocacy organizations, community-based organizations, trade groups and labor unions. The Navigators will be interacting with all of them to help identify skill and hiring needs, to inform recruitment and training, and to facilitate job placement. The Navigators are the connectors in the community. And as with all of the CEJA programs, we expect grantees to employ an equity lens when delivering the CEJA programs. This includes incorporating core equity values in all of the program elements. These values are described in the Notice of Funding Opportunity and include diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and equity. And ultimately, they are helping create a welcoming, accessible, and inclusive environment. They are the first point of contact into the CEJA program infrastructure, and it's very important to create that welcoming environment to help people join the CEJA workforce programs. So as I mentioned, $6 million per year is available for this funding opportunity. Applicants will be selected for 3 years, subject to annual review. The department expects to make awards for each hub area, and the award range is from $250,000 to $600,000 per year. Who can apply for the Energy Transition Navigator program? This funding opportunity is available for community-based providers, nonprofit organizations that have a history of serving low-wage or low-skilled workers. Community colleges are not eligible to apply for this particular grant, but they can be a partner on a grant. They must provide employment, skill development, or related services. They must have demonstrated relationships with residents and organizations that are serving communities, and have a history of serving people from economically disadvantaged communities and relationships with employers as well. So finally, wanted to just provide a few overall tips on building partnerships to apply for funding and how to put together your application. As I mentioned earlier, we are encouraging teams of applicants, not just a single applicant. So think about the organizations in your community who might be able to deliver aspects of the program. I've written down here on the left some of the different program elements for the Workforce Hubs program. Does your organization have the capacity to deliver these elements? Do you need help? If so, what organizations in your community can help you deliver these elements? And this is an opportunity for you to attend a networking session to see if you can identify those partners who can deliver this program with you. So what organizations in your area might be interested in partnering to apply for workforce funding? First of all, there's a number of community-based organizations that deliver workforce services already. Would they be interested in applying for funding? American Job Centers, the organizations that deliver these, These programs may be interested in partnering or applying for funding. Barrier reduction, the barrier reduction services element. There may be community-based organizations or religious organizations that would be interested in providing that particular element for your program. Educational institutions, what educational institutions in your area are already providing clean energy training or might be interested in providing that training? Can you partner with a community college or community-based workforce provider? What apprenticeships are available in your area? Are there trade programs that are training people in these areas? And then finally, we'll want to see that you have relationships with employers in your region. Do you have relationships with clean energy contractor businesses who might be able to hire participants from your program or provide work-based learning? Are there unions that you're connected with? Are there nonprofits in your community that are providing clean energy services that you might partner with? The department has put together a potential partner contact list, and this list is available. It's linked in the Notice of Funding Opportunity page. It includes clean energy employers, organizations that are interested in partnering, and you can filter by region. It also includes apprenticeship programs, solar certified training providers, and existing clean energy training programs. So that can be a good place to start. As far as preparing a strong proposal, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I can't emphasize strongly enough the importance of responding to the requirements that are set out in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. This was a problem with many of the applications we reviewed. Your proposed program design should strongly align with the program description and the requirements that are in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. And the review criteria should guide your proposal development. A proposal is telling a story, so you really want to highlight the strengths of your team and make a case for your project and its potential impact. And then as you're developing each section of your proposal, think about the staffing, budget, and partnerships you're going to need to deliver each element. I noted that some of the applications we received weren't complete. So before you submit an application, make sure that you have all of the elements that are listed in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. There's a little checklist that you can go through in the NOFO and find out if you have all of those elements. There's a uniform grant application, a uniform budget, a couple disclosure forms, and then an executive summary and technical proposal that will need to be included, as well as several supplementary work plans, a curriculum plan, and a staffing plan. All of the material is linked on the Notice of Funding Opportunity websites. This is the link where you can find out that information. And if you have questions about any of these elements, this is an opportunity to contact one of our technical assistance providers and have a one-on-one technical assistance session. I noted that it's important to think about the merit, what reviewers are going to be looking for. They score your proposal based on a series of questions that are outlined in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. 35% of your score is based on your team qualifications and capacity. 10% is based on your understanding of the needs of your community and the needs of the clean energy industry in your community. 40% is based on the quality of your project proposal. And then 15% is based on your budget, the cost effectiveness of your budget. We emphasize the need to read through the NOFO carefully. The NOFO contains important information about activities, about eligibility, about the documents and data that's needed. Make sure that you understand all the requirements, and if you don't, feel free to ask questions. We maintain a Q&A, and we're happy to answer those questions. And then finally, the notice of funding opportunity describes what you'll be delivering, the required elements. Your job in your technical proposal is to explain how you're going to deliver the program elements. So how are you going to deliver the Clean Jobs the Clean Jobs curriculum, for instance, or the work-based learning element? How are you going to create inclusive outreach strategies? These are all different required elements of the program. Your job as the applicant is to explain how you will be doing it, what strategies you'll use. And then for each task or requirement, consider the implications for staffing, for budget, and for strategy. So you might utilize a table such as this for recruitment. That's one of the required elements in both programs. Who are the staff that will be involved? Do you have a lead staff member who would be in charge? Who are the partners? Do you want to partner with a community-based organization that has a really great track record with the target communities? What are the budget items associated with outreach? What's the staffing budget requirements? What other materials will you need? If you're hosting events, will you be renting out a space? Think through all of the different items, budget items that you're going to need for these elements. And then again, as I said, what are your strategies? So we know that you're going to do recruitment, but we want you to provide some ideas of how you're going to do it, how you're going to reach the target populations described in the NOFO and recruit for the program. As I mentioned earlier, our team is happy to provide one-on-one technical assistance, and you can sign up here. Our program coaches have experience working through the different elements of these proposals and are happy to answer any questions that you have and guide you through the process. You can sign up for multiple sessions, so keep that in mind as well. You can have up to 5 sessions with a CEJA program coach. Technical assistance webinars, I encourage you to attend these if you're able to. And then again, this will be especially helpful if you're working to build your team. Attend a networking event, get to know your CEJA regional administrator. This is a great time to talk to them, discuss your challenges and concerns with putting together a proposal for your area and strengthening your partnerships with others. And then finally, encourage you to submit questions to our email address, ceo.ceja@illinois.gov. We monitor that and try to update our Q&A on a weekly basis when the notice of funding opportunity is open. So we'll be responding to those questions and posting answers publicly to those questions. And those are located on the Notice of Funding Opportunity webpage. So strongly encourage you, if you do have questions, you might, before asking them, you might go check the Q&A and see if it's been asked before. And then if you still have a question, contact us and we're happy to help.